A couple more to come in. Great. I'm seeing everybody logging on. Fantastic. Good afternoon. And before I talk a little bit about the program, I wanted to extend a belated Happy Mother's Day to all you wonderful women that make the world a better place and that bring into the world these wonderful artists that I'm featuring every week on the program. So happy belated Mother's Day to all of you. I'm Diane Dumas, and welcome to the virtual Open Mic Monday program. I'm so happy that you've tuned in once again. And just before we get started, I wanted to mention that there is a chat box available for you to communicate your questions, your comments. You can privately message the host to submit questions or inquiries without interruption. Otherwise instructed, please keep yourself on mute. Respect one another and their perspectives, and this program is at this time being recorded. And this week's special guest is Andrew Vaz. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how Andrew came and founded our program, which is really exciting and encouraging. So Andrew is a viewer of the Open Mic Monday programs, and he sent in an email to the town of Oakville saying that he'd like to participate as a local artist. And so, of course, we were very excited to include him in this week's lineup. So a big welcome to Andrew, and we're going to chat with him in just a moment. Andrew is, as I mentioned, a local artist. He writes original music. He's a singer. He actually plays percussion, so he's a drummer as well. He studied audio production at college, and he has a ton of experience of teaching kids music, and that's something that him and I will be talking about in a few moments. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Mr. Andrew Vaz. Hello, Andrew. Good afternoon. It's
Hello.
officially afternoon, so good afternoon. How
Yeah.
are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. Thanks so much for volunteering your time, your talent, and sharing with the viewers today your music. And
Mm-hmm.
there's so many people involved in music, and there's so many wonderful musicians. I'm always amazed when I watch a show like America's Got Talent or
Yeah.
Canadian Idol, and you see these people coming out of the backwoods that have been baling, literally baling hay or doing, nothing related to music, or they were, working at a burger store or,
Mm-hmm.
McDonald's or something. And then they come out and they sing, and then they have this fabulous talent, these fabulous voices, and you just go, wow, there's so many talented people in the world. So
Yes, that's
it's
true.
exciting that we're surrounded by so many of them. And, music and my take on music and the reason for this program is that music is something that we use to communicate with one another. It's a universal language and it's meant to be shared.
Mm-hmm.
So just kind of opening up that thought and welcoming you onto the show. And you're sharing your music. You're going to share some original music with us today, which is
Mm-hmm.
fabulous. And we want to hear and understand, what angle you've come from in terms of writing that,
Right.
as well as you're going to do some covers.
Yes.
So before we get into that, you actually have your own YouTube channel
Mm-hmm.
and you came up with a stage name, and there's your information on the screen. So if anybody wants to write that down, take note of that. There is Andrew's YouTube channel, and it's actually called Midnight Prophet. That's your
Yes.
stage name. So I
Yes.
want to kick off this afternoon by understanding what what does Midnight Prophet mean?
Okay.
Obviously, it's got a meaning because it's
Yes.
very catchy and it
Thanks.
comes with a story, I'm sure. So let's start
Mm-hmm.
with that.
Yeah. I'd been actually composing for quite a while since I was in school and everything like that, and then I wanted to focus on making, releasing music and that sort of thing. And so then I got to thinking, because I wanted it to have a name, just instead of using my own name, I wanted it to kind of come together. So then when I kind of sat back and thought about it, especially with when I was writing my first album, a lot of the a lot of the material that I was doing, recording, writing, everything like that was taking place kind of into the early morning from like midnight on. So that kind of stuck with me. And then when I thought about like the purpose for making music, it really had to do with kind of spreading my life experiences, or just like anything that's happened in my life, trying to connect with other people, help them through music. So then the word profit kind of stood in my mind, and when it came together, it just really resonated with me. So I went with that and kind of just formed my name from there.
Oh, that's great. That's a great story. You mentioned in here, your music and based on your life's experiences.
Hmm.
So I was reading and looking at your website, and this will probably just lead us into this conversation. But you have a wonderful quote on your website,
Mm.
and it says, "We worry about what a child will become tomorrow, yet we forget that he is someone today."
Hmm.
So that's I haven't heard that quote before. It's a wonderful, wonderful quote. It
Yeah,
really got me thinking. Can you tell me how you relate to that?
sure. So I guess really both from my own experiences, and then also as I got kind of more with working with other children, something that stuck with me was that there is a lot of focus on, say, the future and stepping stones and kind of what are kids going to be when they grow up, everything like that, and just busying yourself thinking about all of those things. But um, a lot like a lot of times what tends to happen is that maybe kids aren't allowed to just be in that moment, be a child, kind of just hang out with their friends, that sort of thing. And the other part kind of that I saw, not necessarily happening all the time, but just kind of subconsciously, sometimes people tend to dismiss kids that maybe they don't have something important to say just because they're younger, they don't have the experience or whatever. But uh, you know, when I've worked with kids, I mean, I learned as much from them as I taught them. So, I mean, I always thought about, there's a place for rules and things like that, but I always tried to have an equal sense of footing, listen to them and kind of respect them as fellow human beings as well.
That's really true. Kids have a lot of insight. Um, I really think they're their true selves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have years and years of experience behind them, but they have so much to offer and so much truth and honesty and
Mm-hmm.
vulnerability, and it's really important that that isn't stifled.
Yeah.
And even in music, and this is a true story. So there's this wonderful woman. She's now passed on, but her name is Grace Vandendoel. So I use her theory materials to teach a lot of my music theory courses. And I actually had an opportunity to meet Grace Vandendoel before she passed on. And she had shared with us at a music event that as a child, she took piano, obviously, for many, many years. She started as a young child, but she went to her teacher's house and she would just be sitting down and improvising, playing something that she created.
Hmm.
And her music teacher literally, like, I'm not sure if I remember correctly if she rapped her knuckles with the ruler, which happens a lot. But she totally discouraged her from,
Mm.
what are you doing? That's wrong, and you're just fooling around. And how dare you? And play the music that's in front of you. And Grace shared that she really felt that that stifled her and stopped her from being a creator that she would have been.
Mm.
So I mean, she became a wonderful pianist, but she shared that the creativity was at that point,
Yeah.
taken away from her. And it's sometimes we look at kids and we think they're just fooling around, but play is a way of
Mm-hmm.
learning.
Yeah,
And
for
so
sure.
to us it looks like you're not doing your work, but it is work. Play
Mm-hmm.
is the
It's a
children's
form.
work.
Yeah.
And so, you being able to recognize that and to be able to encourage kids is which led you into working with kids for years. So, can you
Mm-hmm.
tell us what that was like, and are you still doing that?
Yeah, so I had basically always naturally kind of resonated with kids, even, in the family, younger cousins, that sort of thing. And originally I had, gone to school for more kind of audio production and film and that sort of thing. But when that wasn't going exactly as planned, it's a very competitive industry, I started to think about this being my other passion. And then basically I started, volunteering and that sort of thing. And I shadowed even someone in the family who at that time was working in the school system, and really found that, this was kind of a calling. Just, I guess, having gone through a lot myself, and having probably a rough childhood, it allowed me to kind of relate, especially if it came to, certain kids who were maybe shy or that sort of thing. And um, when a kid, I guess, feels comfortable and realizes maybe that you understand where they're coming from, they might be able to open up. And even I found, as I started working more with kids in, say, after school programs and that sort of thing, music was also a stepping stone to kind of, even if they couldn't talk, they could, um, find an instrument, or find that they had a voice when they were singing or that sort of thing. And I remember specific circumstances where, it would be someone who would just shy away, wouldn't want to be part of a group or anything like that. But there was a particular one who, like, felt comfortable enough to perform in front of the whole group, because she, we'd been working together. She found her confidence and found that she had a talent. So, it can really open things up, and it's really giving back in that way also, as an instructor, really kind of makes you feel good.
So describe for us what that, um, how that program ran. Would you
Okay.
be like after school and the kids have a couple of hours before they go home, or was it done through a community center or through a church? And how was
hmm
it set up?
So yeah, I mean, I had done things through the church, but as far as the work that I was doing was mostly through things like the Y. I worked with not only the kind of preschool kids in the morning, but then I worked with kind of more school age after school. So there were different programs. Like for the preschool, it would be kind of just, an hour program, just kind of doing things like, arts and crafts, and letting them play, and kind of having some structure around that. But being a musician, I would also encourage, certain music time to get them kind of, singing songs that they were familiar with, or kind of introducing them to kind of very basic kind of percussion or something like that. And then bringing it more into the school age, where we'd have a little bit more structure around arts and crafts, and recreational play. But then I would also uh, work with, those who are interested to put on plays, talent shows, that sort of thing. And that's where I really saw, kids opening up, and getting interested in that. And especially with, the arts being something that's always kind of thought of as kind of not as important. Sometimes it can get cut in the school year. So if they weren't maybe necessarily having it as much during school, I would at least be able to do it with them after school.
Yeah, the arts are so important because they're really tied to the human emotion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our language, I know the voice, our voice box houses the emotion. So that's why when you feel like crying or you get
Mm-hmm.
emotional, the first thing to go is your voice, right? You start to
Yeah.
get choked up, right? So
Mm-hmm.
there's so much related to emotions and through music. And I've had lots of experiences like that too, where especially in teaching voice, a lot of times I've had young and older students just, start to cry.
Mm-hmm.
They're singing a song, they're crying, and then we end up talking and what's going on. And it really opens the door for
Mm-hmm.
conversation.
Yeah.
And young people need good mentors,
Mm-hmm.
and as wonderful as parents are, sometimes it's someone else's voice that at that time in their life will resonate a little bit more with them.
Yeah.
So having the positive influencers is really important. Those youth programs are so valuable, and I remember myself looking back and being involved in youth programs, especially through the church, where we'd gather on a Thursday night and we would work on music for the Sunday. You really grow a bond of friendship, and just really good seed, if I can use that term. You know, you're planting good things in the kids' minds. You're directing them into things that build them up, things that encourage them, help them build confidence. So, you know, you really, and you remember the leaders. I do. I
Yeah.
can, you know, all those ones that really had an impact on my life. And so I'm sure you're one of those and are remembered greatly with the work that you've done, Andrew. So
Yeah,
that's
thank
just
you.
awesome.
Yeah.
Let's bring into the music part of it. You have some music, and you do have original, but I think we're going to share that or save that to the end.
Yeah.
You'll share that at the end.
Yeah.
So the first piece that you're going to sing for us is, well, I'll let you intro it and tell us a little
Okay.
bit about it and why you picked the song, what it means, or if it means anything, or you just like the song. So
Okay.
tell us about that.
Yeah. The first one I'm gonna do is called Zombie. It's by the Cranberries. They were a very big inspiration for me growing up throughout the 90s. I really loved the lead singer's voice. It was very unique. And I also really was inspired by her unspokenness when it came to, you know, causes with, you know, war and just social justice and things of that nature. And this particular song was one that always stuck with me. And the way I always interpreted it was to do with, you know, whatever's happening in the world, like chaos or anything like that. What tends to happen is that people focus kind of, you know, if this, they may hear something in the news, but the thing that happens is maybe, oh, it's not happening to me. I'm just going to kind of leave it over there and kind of focus on my own life. And the kind of metaphor or thinking of, you know, people just walking around as zombies and kind of being so self-absorbed really kind of got to me, and it's something that really resonated.
Thank you for sharing that. We're going to now listen to the piece of music with a completely different, you know, sense of awareness. So that's great. Okay,
Yeah.
take it away.
All right. Another head hangs lowly, child is slowly taken, and the violence causes silence. Who was me mistaken? But you see, it's not me, it's not my family. In your head, they are fighting with their tanks and their bombs and their bombs and their guns. In your head, they are crying. In your head, zombie, zombie, zombie. What's in your head? In your head, zombie, zombie, zombie. Oh. A mother's heart is slowly taken over, and the violence caused such silence. We must be mistaken. It's the same old theme since 1916. In your head, they're still fighting with their tanks and their bombs and their bombs and their guns. In your head, they are dying. In your head, zombie, zombie, zombie. What's in your head? In your head, zombie, zombie, zombie. Ooh, ooh, ooh. La da 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 da. What's in your head? In your head, zombie, zombie, zombie. What's in your head? In your head, zombie, zombie, zombie. What's in your head? In your head, zombie, zombie, zombie. Oh. Thank you.
Clapping, we listened, and thank you so much for your little description of the song and the meaning attached to it. Because as we were listening, I had images of literally what you spoke about. There's so much happening in the world, but it's always in someone else's backyard.
Yeah.
And until it comes to us, we're not really affected by it, right? And we need to be sensitive, and so that was great. That was a really great song. Thank you so much. I'm going to open up to our viewers. Is there anything in the chat? Anybody have any questions? Does anybody recognize that song? You were 1990s, right, Andrew?
Yeah.
Cranberries, 1990s. So it might not be something on a lot of people's playlists. I mean, I was familiar with it. I'm definitely going to visit the song now myself personally, because it's been something I've heard a long time ago and I haven't listened to recently, but it's really catchy. And now, knowing what the message is, it really makes a difference.
Yeah.
So that's great. So no questions at this point. All right, so we're going to move on. You have another song, Shallow. So this is from A Star is Born, and I know this movie has been remade 3 times. Did you see all 3 versions, Andrew, or just the...
No, I mean, I heard about them, but I hadn't really visited them. I might at some point now that I've seen this version. I know that there's definite differences based on the different times that they were in, so it'd be interesting to see how they were done back in the day.
Absolutely. So I know, okay, so let's just back up. So the recent one, I'm going to do a little trivia to our viewers. So the recent A Star is Born movie that came out, I think it was 3 years ago, or roughly in that that ballpark. Who were the 2 main actors? Does anybody know? There are no prizes, but it's just, it's... Anybody know who the 2 main actors were? I don't think anybody's seen this movie. It's fantastic, great music in it. So Lady Gaga. Sorry, go ahead, John.
I was just going to say it was Lady Gaga, and I forget the name of the guy, but he's been in a lot of recent movies. But I see in the chat it was Bradley Cooper, but that's not my answer. That's right, but that was somebody else.
Yes, I think that it was Heather. Was that your answer? Or not? Oh, it was Daniel's answer. Okay, so the guys here, our tech people are playing along. All right, that's okay. It was Bradley Cooper, definitely. Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper. So let's back it up to the 1970s one. Who were the two main actors in that one?
Barbara Streisand and Chris Christopherson.
Yes, Linda. Barbara Streisand and Chris Christopherson.
That one we knew.
Yes, 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 yes. Okay, let's back up the bus a little further. The original one. And I have yet to see. I'm sure it's fabulous. Back from 1950s. Are you looking that up on your phone, Andrew? Yes? No? Okay. Who wants to? I know we'd have to, so maybe somebody can Google that for us. And of course, they're going to be different with the different eras and even the different styles of music.
Yeah.
But same common theme, right? You know, we search for fame and fortune, and we achieve it, but we find out at the end of the road that's really not enough, right? And there's really missing the whole point of it. And the whole point is you don't get fulfilled by money and fame and fortune, right?
Yeah.
It comes from deeper within. So Judy Garland, yes, and James Mason and Judy Garland. So something to
There
do
was-
while we're still in lockdown, right? Dig up, if you can, dig up the movie Star is Born, the original. Yeah.
There was another one between, I forget what the name of the movie was. It wasn't A Star is Born, but it was the same plot, same premise, but it was done in the news genre. So it was an aging anchorman or an older anchorman with a prodigy. And I know Robert Redford was the lead, the male lead. I forget who was the female lead, but basically it's the same plot to A Star is Born.
Okay. Great. Good.
Interesting.
Thank you for that trivia. Perfect. Great. Well, that brings us to one of the biggest hits from that movie for the Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper is a fabulous song, Shallow. So intro that for us, Andrew.
All right. Yeah, it's definitely a big hit for that movie. Integral part to the story. And yeah, it really kind of talks about basically how some people are really struggling and, you know, trying to just find a safe space to kind of, whether it's trauma or just kind of not feeling fulfilled in life, and you just want to find a space where you feel not so alone, or you can feel at ease, whatever you're going through. So it really resonates, I think, with a lot of people.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Tell me something, girl. Are you happy in this modern world? Or do you need more? Is there something else you're searching for? I'm falling. In all the good times I find myself longing for change, and in the bad times I fear myself. Tell me something, boy. Aren't you tired trying to fill that void? Or do you need more? Ain't it hard keeping it so hardcore? I'm falling. In all the good times I find myself longing for change, and in the bad times I fear myself. I'm off the deep end, watch as I dive in. I'll never reach the ground. Crash to the surface where they can't hurt us. We're far from the shallow now. the shallow, shallow, in the shallow, shallow, in the shallow, shallow, we'll fall from the shallow now. Ooh, 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 I'm off the deep end, watch as I dive in. I'll never reach the ground. Crash through the surface where they can't hurt us. We'll fall from the shallow now. In the shallow, shallow, in the shallow, shallow, in the shallow, shallow, we'll fall from the shallow now.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
What a great song. Just a question for you. The backing track, is that something you put together yourself, or is it something you
No,
found?
it was a great backing track that I found from a group called Brooklyn Duo. I think it's a cellist and a violinist or something like that, and they've done all kinds of covers, and they really are great at what they do.
Yeah, it was beautiful. You know, when you add strings to anything, I
Yeah.
always think when I'm playing my guitar, oh,
Yeah.
I only have the cello beside me, right? And
Yeah.
you know, the upright bass and you know the whole thing. But
Exactly.
sometimes it's just me, myself, and I, right? So,
Yeah.
but you know, it's great to have the backing track. So, just curious, are you able to adjust the key, or you just have to go with the key they set it in?
Um, yeah, I mean, I always, if it's, a certain song that is kind of out of my range, I always try to see, can I hit a certain note, or I can adjust it to maybe a lower note that's more in line with my vocal. So, it depends on the song really.
Right, right. Okay, great. Opening up the chat to the viewers. Any questions, comments on that? What a great tune. And Lady Gaga I was actually so impressed when I heard Lady Gaga because,
Mm,
you know, we always kind of see her in a very playful, pretend,
Yeah.
personifying, you know, something else. And she
Yeah.
was really, I think, the most normal, if I want to use that term, in that movie where you actually just saw her as her.
Yeah.
As opposed to like a theatrical character. So it was really interesting. I was impressed with both the Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga's
Yeah.
performances
Yeah.
on that movie. Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah.
great. So music and kids, you know, I've talked about this before, relating to kids and the current music that they relate to. So when you want to reach out to the youth, as much as you might like Frank Sinatra or whoever, if it's not their era or something that doesn't speak to them, then the communication is dropped. Can you
Right.
expand on that?
Sure. Yeah, definitely there's differences in eras. And I guess I kind of bridge the gap by kind of listening to, because one of the things that I would do is just bring in my portable speaker and kind of, say like let's create a playlist, let's put on some stuff that everyone would like to do. And I would also, you know, every once in a while bring in things that I was into that would be appropriate, and whether it's just playing the music or encompassing it into, our kind of like jam sessions or something like that. And, sometimes they wouldn't be into it. Sometimes they would open up to something that maybe they wouldn't have otherwise listened to. So it's kind of each kind of hearing what the other person was interested in and kind of, balancing it out. And it was more often than not, it really worked.
Yeah, you have to definitely do some digging, right? To find out what's in their head, and
Yeah.
and
And
then
especially, they're more prone to want to practice something that they're interested in listening to. So there's that too.
Yeah, absolutely. I still find that and I tell my students, I try to offer a lot of music, a lot of variety, because something's got to catch, out of all the songs. And then practice those ones, right, that really mean something to you, or you feel like you can relate to, or you can play well, or that you just, merely enjoy. So that's variety's good. I'm really looking forward to your original song. Can you tell? It's titled "Love." Can you tell
Yeah.
us what that? I mean, not going to tell us what love is. We,
Yeah.
but tell us why you chose that title and a little bit about the piece of music.
So yeah, this song was focusing on love as kind of self-love, and especially for those who have gone through various traumas in their life. And I mean, everyone has in some extent. Some are just more extreme than others. But definitely in working in childcare and kind of studying child development, a lot of traumas tend to happen in that time. And as you grow up, what tends to happen is, if you've been traumatized, you're kind of, that part of you has kind of been closed off. And especially if it's been a harder experience, when you tend to focus on self-doubt or not, kind of loathing yourself in the most extreme cases, it has to do with that you've kind of turned off that part of yourself. So this song was kind of like having a dialogue with that inner part of you, whether thinking of it as a child that's sitting in front of you or just a dialogue with your soul, kind of to console yourself and come to terms with that it was okay, that it wasn't your fault, and that, you're kind of one being and you can kind of come to terms with that part of your life.
That's awesome. Okay.
All right. Hello, my friend. It's been years since I last saw you, but now, my friend, I will never let you go again, and things will turn around. And I won't let you down. I'll always be around. Love, and they won't hurt you now. We're in this together now. I know you need me now. Love, 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 love. Back then, my friend was afraid and had to leave. So I'm sorry, my friend. But today we start anew, and things will turn around, and I won't let you down. I'll always be around. Love, and they won't hurt you now. We're in this together now. I know you need me now. Love, 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 love. Ooh. will turn around, and I won't let you down. I'll always be around. Love, and they won't hurt you now. We're in this together now. I know you need me now. Love, 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 love.
Thank you so much.
you.
What a great song. How long did it take you to write that? Did it happen overnight? Did you get the lyrics first? Did you get the music?
Yeah, so basically for this song, I was just kind of, I had the concept in mind, and then there's this community that I have as a musician, and basically there's people who are very good with, instrumentation, but maybe they're not singers, that sort of thing. And so they share with this particular, I came across this session musician who just had this particular guitar part, and it was a, very concise kind of, melody. And so I really liked it. And so, I asked him, can I use this? And he's like, yeah, you can use this, and there's no, it's kind of yours to use. There's no strings. And so I just, that part, I just kind of looped it and started thinking about it. And then I kind of layered it with, a lot of, I have a synthesizer. So I, added some of my own kind of guitar parts over it, some strings, that sort of thing. And then developed, the recorded song also has a, like drums and things like that added to it as well. So it just grew from there, and then I just kept listening to it over and over maybe a few hours, and then slowly the lyrics kind of formed in my mind. I think it started with the chorus, and then it just kind of formed from there, and then it just came together.
Oh, great. Yeah, I always find it fascinating how songs come together, for creative people like yourself. And just wrapping up our conversation today, first of all, I want to really thank you for sharing your time and your talent
Thank
with
you.
us. We really, really enjoyed it. What would you, if you had some words to inspire the young and the youth? You talked a lot about trauma and, kids going through things, and, how you deal with that's really important,
Yeah.
because if it's not dealt with, it comes up later on in life. And we're all children, I believe, inside, right? And,
Yeah.
we still have a lot of wounds that we, have carried throughout the years. Sometimes we just get better at masking them,
Yeah.
right? But what would you have to say to our viewers? A lot of them are parents, and a lot of them are grandparents. What kind of words of wisdom from your experience in working with the youth would you like to just maybe share as a closing comment?
I guess, yeah, definitely. Kids really respond to, or they pick up on like every little thing. And I noticed, whether it was myself or just how, like coworkers or this, that, like everyone has their own approach. But I think that kind of really sensing that each kid is also individual, and what works with one may not work with the other. And I guess also kind of listening to them, some kids may want to talk, some may be better at writing or singing or that sort of thing, and kind of listening to what they want to do, instead of kind of, sometimes we go with what we're used to, our philosophy, and kind of, it's about, I guess, give and take, and kind of, they'll be more prone to open up if you kind of listen to them, and don't kind of come in an authoritative manner or with your own ideas, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So communication is key. remembering everyone's an individual. And I mean, we all know that most of us have siblings, and you ain't like your sister or your
Yeah.
brother, right? You may, kind of look alike, but personalities are so different. And that's what makes parenting challenging, because, one child might need it, direction in a very different way than another. So it's very, very tailored. Thank you. Thank you for the wonderful work you do and the wonderful music you shared with us today. It was really inspiring. Thanks again. Great. Yeah, we're clapping. Thank you,
Thank you.
viewers. I thought I would kind of keep with a little bit of the theme today that Andrew shared with us. And I've pulled a 1990s piece of music, or from the 1990s, a group called Oasis. And they have a lot of, they're a British group. They had a lot of hits. This is probably one of their biggest hits, and it's called Wonderwall. I'm in the key. The chords that are going to be on the screen are in E minor. I'm capped up at the 3rd fret for those of you who want to play along. And it goes something like this. Today is gonna be the day that they're gonna throw it back to you. By now you should have somehow realized what you gotta do. I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now. Backbeat, the word is on the street that the fire in your heart is out. I'm sure you've heard it all before, but you never really had a doubt. And I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now. And all the roads we have to walk are winding, and all the lights that lead us there are blinding. There are many things that I would like to say to you, but I don't know how. Because maybe you're gonna be the one that saves me. And after all, you're my wonder wall. Today is gonna be the day that they're gonna throw it back to you. By now you should have somehow realized what you gotta do. And I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now. And all the roads we have to walk are winding, and all the lights that lead us there are blinding. There are many things that I would like to say to you, but I don't know how. Because maybe you're gonna be the one that saves me. And after all, you're my wonder wall. Today is gonna be the day that they're gonna throw it back to you. Thank you. Have an awesome Monday, and I look forward to seeing each and every one of you next week. Thanks, Andrew, and have a great, great rest of the day.